What's up, guys? It's Breakshift, and I've got another deck to share with y'all today. We got some new support in the most recent pack for Archfiends, and Archfiend support is Regenesis support, because the key playmaking card in Regenesis is an Archfiend. So I've done, 4 or 5 different variants on Regenesis in the past. I really like this deck, and there's a lot of fun ways that you can try to incorporate other cards that have the 2500 stat lines. But the one big issue that I was always running into is that these other engines, even if they were really strong, stuff like the Kashtira cards, they were great at supplementing the Regenesis stuff, and they were great at potentially helping you get off the ground, right? Because you can have the 2500 in hand to reveal with Archfiend, or you could put it on board to summon your other guys, but there was never a way to reliably access the Regenesis engine using other cards. There were some unsearchable normal summons that you could play, stuff like Tour Guide and Doomdog, but it was all very limited. You were mostly just kind of hoping that you hard drew your Regenesis Archfiend, your Regenesis Search Bell, that kind of stuff. But the new stuff changes that a lot, because we can now finally search Regenesis Archfiend, and we can do it with a lot of different starters, and I mean a lot. So what is the new support? How do we find this guy? Well, there's a whole bunch of different stuff. I tried to make the smallest possible package with the Archfiend cards because you can see we're playing 48 cards here. We have to play a decent number of garnets that we're trying to dilute out by playing as many of these different starters as we can, and just hoping that statistically it'll work out in our favor that way. So we're only using this card, Highness Archfiend, and, well, I mean, that's actually it in terms of the new stuff. It's just Highness. What this card does is, if it's normal summoned, you banish an Archfiend card from your graveyard, and then you get to add 2 Archfiend cards from deck, and then it locks you out of summoning from the extra deck except Archfiends. Obviously, we don't really care about that because Regenesis doesn't need to go into the extra deck, but having to banish an Archfiend card to get the double search is pretty tricky. So if you could just, normal summon this and grab 2 Archfiend cards, then that would be amazing. But because we can't do that, we have to put in a bit more work, and the way that we're mostly going to be trying to do that is with this older card here, Archfiend Heiress. If it's sent to the graveyard by card effect or by being destroyed by battle, you can add an Archfiend card. So if this gets sent to the graveyard, it'll add the Archfiend, or the Highness Archfiend, and then it will be there in the graveyard for her to banish. The searches, by the way, we're just going to get 2 copies of Regenesis Archfiend, because we'll use one to reveal for the other, and it's guaranteed follow-up. We could play additional search targets, but like I said, I wanted to make this as small as possible. So how are we dumping Archfiend Heiress? Well, we're going to be using rank 3 engines. We are playing both of the best rank 3 engines, the Speedroid, Terratop, Takatomborg engine, and we're also using the Radiant Typhoon cards. So these guys are going to just put 2 level 3 bodies on the board for free. We're going to turn those into Cherubini, who can be made with any 2 level 3 monsters. And when you summon this guy, you can use his effect to send a level 3 monster from your deck to the graveyard for cost. And then the actual effect is he'll boost his attack. So this is really, really good because they can't negate him with something like Imperm or Veiler or whatever. Even if they did it preemptively, you can still attempt to use the effect and pay its cost. The attack boosting will just be negated, which is kind of fucked up, honestly, that he works that way. I'm terrified of the day that Konami decides to design an archetype that works this way, like, everywhere. We already have kind of seen some of that with the way the Cool Tune cards work, being able to still use the Synchro from Hand ability even when they're negated. But that's a tangent. Anyway, an important thing to note about Cherubini is that, like I said, because he sends for cost, he actually doesn't work with Archfiend Heiress, because this card specifically has to be sent to the graveyard by card effect, and cost is not a card effect. So luckily there is a workaround. Unfortunately, it does force us to play another brick, which is this guy, an old friend of the Burning Abyss monsters, Fiendish Rhino Warrior. He's a fiend, and if he is sent to the graveyard, he sends a fiend from deck to graveyard, but he doesn't care about how he's sent to the graveyard. So when we send him for cost, his effect will trigger, we'll send a different fiend to the graveyard. That's the Archfiend Heiress. That will add us the Highness Archfiend, and since neither of our rank 3 engines requires the normal summon, and we don't need it for the Regenesis engine, then we can normal summon her, banish the Heiress, and search 2 copies of Regenesis Archfiend. So that gives us 3 Speedroid Terratop, 3 Eldam, 3 Swen, and we could be playing up to 3 Chant. I'm only playing 2 here, as well as 1 MST to add. It is actually kind of a nice thing to incorporate into your end board, and also if you're going second and they have back row, you need to be able to put MST in the graveyard to get the free summons out, because we can't commit our normal summon if we want to be normal summoning the Highness Archfiend. So I do like playing the 1 MST there. You could try to play Radiant Typhoon Vision, the Graceful Charity, because there is this quick play spell in the Regenesis deck, but that's the only one, and it's not really easy to access, and if you do have one, you probably would rather use it. So we're not playing that. But besides being able to do the Cherubini line, we might be able to make multiple rank 3s, or we might not need the Archfiend search if we already have access to Archfiend and Reveal. So what are we doing in that case? Well, we're using the Armored Xyz stuff. These are pretty powerful cards. We're going to start with Torpedo, who's a rank 3, and you'll note he has that important 2500 stat line. His effect, detach 2, draw a card, just a free draw, nice. Not really a big deal one way or the other, but that's important because it gets rid of all his material so that you can rank him up to Armor Fortress. Armor Fortress can detach the Torpedo to grab the Armored Xyz trap, and then that will let us rank up into Dark Knight Lancer on the opponent's turn and grab one of their monsters as material for this card. So it's another very, very powerful disruption that we get to layer in. The one sticking point with this card is that the Full Armored Xyz, because it's a trap, we have to set it and then use it on the opponent's turn, and it's going to summon from the extra deck, which makes it clash with Regenesis Code. We can't just do the summoning preemptively, because then we can't get the trap in the graveyard. So if you have to use Regenesis Code, then you're not going to be able to use the Full Armored Xyz trap, but there are other ways in which you can resolve that problem. Like if you only have 1 copy of Code and you don't need to use it to get your plays started, right? Like you can go Code for Archfiend to get plays started, but if you don't need to do that, if we already have Archfiend access, then we can just set the Regenesis Code, use the Full Armored Xyz first, and then use the Regenesis Code afterwards. So it's not a complete disaster. But that's pretty much the only real change to the deck, is we've trimmed out as much stuff as we could to make room for all of the rank 3 cards, to make room for the bricks that we have to play. And the only stuff we're playing beyond that is just the Kashtira cards, because Unicorns are just so good. I know that Fenrir just came back to 3, but ironically, he's not actually particularly great on his own for this deck, whereas Unicorn is much better because he'll get you to Fenrir via Theosis, and then the Fenrir will put another Unicorn back in hand, so you still have a 2500 to reveal. It's so much better than Fenrir, where if you just summon Fenrir onto an empty board, then he adds Unicorn to hand and that's it. He also clashes with the Speedroids, so there's that to keep in mind. And I'm still playing 3 copies of Dragon's Mind. I'm aware that this is probably not the most optimal way to do this, but I really like this card, so I'm playing it. You can't stop me. That's about the gist of it. The rest of the extra deck is still mostly just random nonsense that you're not ever going to summon. So with that being said, let's just hop right into some replays here. I am still stuck in Diamond. Unfortunately, I don't get to hang out in Platinum, or I prefer to be normally, but I just still managed to scrape together a handful of replays for y'all. Taking a bit of a break from the Duelist Cup, where I've been playing Exo Sister. So this first duel here is showing off like a full combo turn 1 here. The only thing we don't have access to is the Kashtira stuff, and we wouldn't really be able to use that anyway with the Speedroids. So Terratop add Takatomborg special. Sure you've all seen that before. Cherubini, dump the Fiendish Rhino Warrior, just like I was talking about. Boost himself. Rhino, dump the Heiress. Heiress, add the Highness. And then we're going to go ahead and do the Radiant Typhoon stuff. I guess I didn't mention this earlier, but the Highness lock, you do need to make sure that you go through, like in this case when I'm doing the Armored Xyz line, you got to do that before you normal summon Highness. There's all kinds of funky locks that you have going on at the same time in this deck. The Highness lock, the Theosis lock, the Regenesis code lock, all that stuff. But it's almost always possible to manage it all. Very rarely are you actually going to run into a real problem outside of when you have to use code as a starter. So there we go. We rank up our Xyz. We get the full armored Xyz. We're going to go Eris, Banish, add 2 copies of Regenesis Archfiend. Look how many cards are in our hand right now, man. The advantage generation is crazy. So then we'll go Archfiend, add Regenesis. Regenesis for Sage. Normally I would get Lord to try and get Birth in circulation, but we drew the Birth, so I can just go for Sage instead. And then we'll do a little bit more searching just to thin the deck out. Set everything and pass the turn. The opponent is on K9, so yeah, like I was saying, MST not too bad. Pretty decent way to use it here. Make sure that Case doesn't resolve here for the search. He does get to use the other effect to set a quick play, but I really just don't care about that at all. That's not going to do anything, obviously. He summons Noroi. I'm going to go ahead and imperm that. I'm trying to save the Sage for something a bit more relevant. But he's playing something really weird, apparently, because he's on Enneacraft. And he reveals 3 different names, too, which is just, like, insane behavior. I don't know what he's planning here. So I'm thinking at this point that I probably need to use the Sage negate on Rebirth if he has that. He kills Cherubini, and then he tries to pop another one of my cards with the scale effect, but I've waited to this moment to chain the trap so I can dodge the pop here. Rank up into Dark Knight Lancer. Main phase 2, this guy's already negated, so whatever, he's just off the field. He gets the field spell, and at this point, I'm thinking I probably need to go ahead and stop the field spell. It's going to give him too much advantage. Getting to put those back and set them. I don't want to deal with that. If the last card in hand is Rebirth, so be it. But it's not. He's just going to set. So during the end phase, we got some cleanup duty here. Banish the trap. I'm going to equip Armor Torpedo and steal his face down. Then Archfiend is going to add himself back to hand. We can use, well, we can't use Birth, but we can flip it up so that we have the option to send it with Sage if need be. Top deck another copy of Regenesis for turn. Then he's got the Special Release Experiment. I'm just going to go ahead and negate that because we already know that the last face down is the Quick Play, which obviously doesn't do anything for him at this point. So the duel should effectively be over. I've got plenty of damage. And you can see I've got a ton of gas left in the tank, too. The Regenesis grind game is pretty strong, man. Just getting free resources all the time. So if that was some kind of relevant backer, you can see we handle that with Dragon. We can get even more stats out on the field. We've got Lord. We can, you know, we're just kind of flexing a little bit here. We're demonstrating to the viewer, okay, I'm totally not BMing. Be cool. And there you go. So obviously, this guy's deck was a little bit wacky, but mostly we're just showing off the capabilities of the deck here. That's what uninterrupted play going first looks like. It's quite strong. That's the power of the new Archfiend cards. I like them a lot. I think they're really, really good. I'm so glad that there's finally a way to go from a different engine into Regenesis, and that it leaves the possibilities of doing other stuff so that you're not just bricking on these extra starters. Somewhat funky hand here. Gonna add the Eldam, and we're going to get Drolled. Very unfortunate here. I'm just gonna go code for Sage, set the trap, and set the second copy of code. So not a great end board. The opponent is on Cool Tune. I'm flipping up Birth, and he decides to chain Cool Tune Synchro. Gets himself a copy of Q. And wouldn't you know it, he also already has Rotary. So Rotary extra normal on the Q. I am definitely just going to use the Sage here because this is too strong an effect, and I got to keep his field empty if possible. So Q will go away. He's got his regular normal summon for Rico. I'm going to use the Birth effect here to put it face down so he can't use it as synchro material. So there goes that. He does, of course, still get to add, and he's going to add Clip. He also has Synchro Overtake in hand. Pretty decent hand. So that's going to get him another copy of Rico. And again, I got to keep his field clear here. So we're going to go code for Warrior, immediately tribute off the Warrior, and just get that thing off the board. End phase, get my guys back. And in case you forgot, Sage was summoned off of Code, so she dies, we're also going to get her back. Hand's looking pretty decent here. We'll throw down the Archfiend. Obviously, I would like to get Sage on board ASAP, but there's no monsters with the right stat line. So I have to do something else first. And that gives him an opportunity to go for Clip without my negate being live. So he goes into the Trackmaker. I'm going to add Lord because I already have the spell in hand. Gets a nice little chain link going for himself here, and he's going to clear my Archfiend off the board, which would be a big problem, maybe, if Trackmaker didn't have 2,500 defense. So, because of that, my other Regenesis cards are still online, so we can slam down the Warrior, slam down the Sage, Regenesis in the grave, bring back Archfiend, just so that we can send him off for Lord. Lord effect, we already have a Regenesis, but why not get another one, and the spell can just be negate fodder for Sage. Grab the Dragon, and then we've got an easy path to lethal here. We can also throw out the Eldam too, why not? So Warrior can clear the way by getting rid of Trackmaker, and I already know that that's a Rico, of course. I can clear it with Eldam, and we've got just enough damage to wipe him out. Pretty nice duel playing through the draw there. Let's check out the next one. Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how decently this deck did in Diamond. So, hand here is tolerable. We're going second, 2 imperms, maybe it gets there. The opponent adds Vados and then just passes turn. This replay was more humorous than anything because when I go to activate Chant here, he's going to hit me with Perulia and Fuelos. It's like, all right, okay, well, so if we summon from the hand, which Regenesis does a lot, that'll be an issue. If we summon from the deck, or the extra deck, which we would do a lot with the Radiant Typhoon stuff, that'll also be a problem. So, the idea here, we get it with the Maxi as well. We just need to try and speedrun our way to 8,000 damage here and hope that he doesn't draw Nibiru, basically. But because we have Sage, we can insulate from that anyway. So I'm just trying to put more stats on the board at this point while leaving a Regenesis card available to negate with Sage that doesn't put me beneath the 8,000 damage. He's going to draw me, so he doesn't even get to draw anymore at this point. And we have the requisite amount of damage. And he didn't get to nib in time, so there you go. Not particularly relevant to the deck showcase, but I did think it was funny. There you go. Add Vados pass wasn't enough. Who could have thought? One more replay for y'all. This one is against Labyrinth. So this time I'm going first again. And the hand we draw is not particularly great. Drew the Takatomborg, not a big fan of that. So we'll just have to summon the mountain. We'll be down a card. I go for the Armor Torpedo because I already have access to Archfiend with the code. He ashes the Armor Torpedo, which is just a terrible move. I don't know why you would ever do that. Obviously, you would want to ash the Armor Fortress most of the time instead. But he has an imperm for that too, apparently. Royal Imperm, by the way. Nice looking card. I wouldn't mind having one of those. It's the you need a Royal Imperm if you wanted to get a Royal Armor Fortress, if you didn't know. I throw down Sage. He's got the Nibiru, and I'm going to use the Negate here because the Regenesis monsters only come back if they were sent during the opponent's turn. So then I'm going to go ahead and activate the other copy of Code, and he's got the Lady Labyrinth. So he's going to drop that down. I'm going to bust out the Archfiend. Archfiend is going to add the spell card so we get that in rotation for the Grave effect. Get our way to Regenesis Lord. Just freaking out there, dude. What the hell? Regenesis Lord is going to set the trap card. And we'll pass on that. The opponent is down to just a couple cards here. I'll flip up the Birth. This does not trigger his lady because it's a continuous trap. Anyway, he doesn't really have anything. He just drew a maxi for turn. So I'm going to cycle the Birth out so that I can get another Archfiend Search. We grab Dragon because it's a back row deck. Sage, of course, going to add itself back during the end phase here. Archfiend going to do the little shimmy shuffle as well. And then we can just immediately slam down Sage. The set card is Karma Cannon. Of course, we're going to negate that, and he just scoops it on up. We had a pretty easy route to victory there. So there you go. That's the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the profile and the replays. I am looking at some other stuff from the new pack as well, so hopefully I'll be here again pretty soon with another funny deck to share. And until then, peace.